Konnichiwa, minasan. Here's Aki-chan. Welcome to another video called Until We Meet Again. Trigger warning. Contains thunder sounds, blood, murder, mention of sexual assault and fight. If you are uncomfortable with any of this, please don't watch it. Take care of your mental health. Otherwise, enjoy the video.
The sound of small droplets, drumming on a window, fulfilled dark room. Kyotani, sitting in one of the deeper corners, was just blankly staring out of the broken window, to the dark empty void. It was like looking through his heart into his soul. Broken, and empty. These two words were perfectly describing Kyotani's life. Loud thunder echoed between the cold walls. This night was reminding him of the time when he witnessed a murder of his mother. Right before his eyes, his father picked up a knife as he forcefully gripped his wife's hair, forcing her to look up at him. Cold metal blade was covered by stream of a hot fresh blood. Painful screams of the woman were mixed with mad laugh of this insane person. Slowly, but surely, woman's screams faded into nothing as her blood started swallowing up the floor. As her cold body was thrown on the ground, his blank eyes started focusing on 10-year-old Kyotani. Little by little, he started closing the distance between them. Terrified Kyotani, unable to move, only stared at the man, who was covered in blood, wearing a creepy smile. "Come here, son. Come to daddy. Daddy wants a hug. Be a good boy." His deep cracked voice snapped Kyotani's mind back. Still keeping an eye contact, Kyotani step by step backed away from him until he felt cold stone wall behind his back. He froze in fear. Quickly, his eyes started searching for a weapon. "Don't be scared. I'll take you to your mother, okay?" As his father was slowly closing the gap, Kyotani's eyes landed on a poker standing next to him. In spur of the moment, with eyes closed, he pierced the poker through his father's chest, feeling of a hot liquid on his cheeks. As he slowly opened his eyelids, panic and fear started flowing in his veins. Face covered in blood was merely an inch away from Kyotani's. Soulless eyes and insane smile pierced through Kyotani's mind and were imprinted in the depth of his memory. Another loud noise jolted Kyotani into wakefulness. It was 11 years since then and this awful memory was still haunting him. After that incident, he was constantly shifting between many orphanages, because other kids were too scared of his face and his history. Names like Kyotani the Killer or Kerberos were part of the daily life. Not only kids, but adults also acted the same way. They were ignorant and very distant, trying to avoid this devil seed. In his mid-teens, classmates and other teens in school started calling him thug, gangster, and bully due to some unconfirmed rumors that were spreading around the school. This was the last straw for him. If that was what they wanted, then be it. Shutting everyone out, he became this figment of everyone's denigration. And now, he is sitting on the cold floor staring into the void. Kyotani clicked his tongue in irritation. Just how pathetic of him, drowning himself in his meaningless memories. It's not like someone will come and pull him out of this prison. He will stay in there for the rest of his life. May as well accept his fate and just move on. He stood up and made for the welcoming arms of this stormy night. "KyoHaba Shigeru. Stop screaming at me and come here immediately. No. I've had enough. You are controlling every step, every damn action in my whole life. I couldn't choose friends, I couldn't choose school. So at least let me choose my partner. You don't know what's good for you. This girl is perfect for your future. She is very kind and polite. She will be a doctor like you. And as a bonus, her parents are rich. She is going to have a big dowry." To said that KyoHaba was fuming was an understatement. His younger brother was long ago gone, since he didn't want to be involved in this mess. This argument with his mother started in the middle of dinner, where was announced KyoHaba's espousal with some unfamiliar girl. When KyoHaba heard this news, something in him shifted. He was always the one who put up with his mother's bullshit and obediently met her demands. At a young age, he did it to cheer her up, regarding her pitiful state, as her husband left. But as he grew up, he started seeing patterns of manipulation. Occasionally, he tried fighting back, however due to his shy, non-conflict nature and mother's clinchers, he was constantly putted down. He always told himself that this was only for a short amount of time, and then, he will be free. Yet, that was something he wished for. But this wish now seemed so far away. And that's why he is standing here now, claiming his rights for happy ever after. I don't even know her. Why would I marry some stranger? Only for her wealth and potentially stable career? What about my feelings? What about my happiness? You don't care at all, do you? Overwhelmed by his emotions, KyoHaba's voice started cracking. Single vision of his arranged future was tearing him up. He felt so small, so fragile, and yet still trying to fight this demon with his bare shaking hands. Your emotions and feelings are irrelevant. What's important in this world to survive is wealth and influence. Once you become a working adult, you will understand. Feelings don't feed you. You can live by someone's side without deeper connection and still be happy. And as you become a doctor, you will be acknowledged by higher ranked people. And will be visiting many interesting foreign places. She said it almost dreamily. In this moment, KyoHaba knew what is going on. His hands stopped shaking and slightly irritated smile appeared on his face. But in his eyes was only sadness. So, you trying to live your dream through my life? His mother was no longer angry. She was furious. Look me in the eyes and say that again, you ungrateful brat. I gave you home, food, money for your studies, and this attitude is what I get. KyoHaba, still looking on the ground, continued with calm voice. My dear mother, this defensive approach only shows how right I am. You wanted to be rich, very well known, glorified by everyone. But instead of that, you got poor husband, which loved you but eventually left you for the better, and two, as I quote, ungrateful kids, which were supposed to carry your dreams so that you can brag about them and be famous this way. But I won't grant you your wish. I suffered enough. As his tears made its way to his brownish-gray eyes, he turned away and started going to his room. Where are you going? I'm not done with you, young man. But I'm done with you and your selfishness. Suddenly, he stopped in the middle of the stairs and turned to look at his mother one last time. And so, you know, I'm gay. KyoHaba said it with calm voice, intentionally pissing his mother off. What? No, no, no. Come back, you pansy. We must fix this immediately. The last few words KyoHaba heard slightly muffled due to closed door, but he still managed to understand them. His tired body slid down the wall as his mind completely processed full incident. And then, he utterly broke down. Choked sobs and loud cries echoed through his otherwise silent room. This melancholy symphony was accompanied by lingering storm in the background. His mind was occupied by similar painful questions. Why can't I be free? Why can't I live my life like I want? Why can't I choose my fate? I don't want to be mother's puppet. I don't want to live in this sick prison called home. Tears were now falling like waterfall and his breathing became heavier. Due to pain in his chest, he clenched his t-shirt on the painful spot. Feeling dizzy, KyoHaba's vision started getting darker. As he was about to pass out, cold breeze gently caressed his face. This fresh wind, covering him into a lovely hug, calmed somehow KyoHaba down. It felt like it was calling him somewhere. Scanning the room, searching for a place where this breeze was coming from, he saw a slightly opened window. And in that moment, he knew. Without hesitation, KyoHaba stood up and went to the window, sneaking out into the dark night. This was the first step to get closer to his new life. KyoHaba was running without any sense of direction. His legs carried him through the whole city into some small, abandoned alley. Breathing heavily, he finally stopped. Tired legs gave up as he collapsed on the cold concrete. In the next minute, he tried to catch a glimpse of where he was, but with blurry vision and dark surroundings it was merely impossible. So, he closed his eyes and slowly steadied his breathing, as he took the first sips of freedom. As minutes passed by, loud noises were heard. Some guys were going to KyoHaba's direction. In attempt to stay invisible, he scooted behind some trash cans, hoping that they wouldn't see him. What he didn't know was that someone was watching him already. "What do we have here?" KyoHaba stiffed upon hearing that unpleasantly sly voice. He slowly turned his head in the other's direction, as his body automatically shifted further from him. He could barely see in the dark, but big muscular body with tattoos was very well visible. In a split second, there were another 3 silhouettes looking at him. "What are you doing here, rabbit? Isn't it too dangerous for such a cutie to be alone in these dark streets?" They were drawing nearer, closing the gap between them. KyoHaba felt like a prey, as their hungry eyes were piercing through him. Unconsciously, he started trembling. "Look at this poor thing. He is scared. Oh, don't be. I will take care of you." He said it with mischievous smile as he stepped further. KyoHaba automatically backed away but was instantly stopped by cold brick wall. "Hey, don't forget that we want have fun with him too." KyoHaba's eyes widened as he saw that this man was loosening his belt. "Is this my fate? Are the gods trying to punish me for being misbehave? What did I do to deserve this? I don't want this. I am scared. Somebody, help me. Please." His eyes were screaming for help, but his voice was mute. First tears made their way from his eyes, silently tracing down his cheeks. One of the men made his way to KyoHaba, taking him forcefully by his wrists, making him stood up. Too scared to fight, KyoHaba's trembling body just obediently followed the other's movements. "So, rabbit. Show me what you get." Feeling the other's face an inch from his, KyoHaba instinctively closed his eyes and turned his head to another side. But not for long. As the man swiftly putted KyoHaba's hands above his head and placed his free hand onto KyoHaba's waist, these teary brownish-gray eyes were immediately wide open. With every movement of the man's hand, KyoHaba's body was stiffer. Shallow breathing and black dots, appearing before KyoHaba's eyes, were signals for incoming panic attack. In this moment, he wished nothing but a quick end. Suddenly, dull bang was heard somewhere behind them. Everybody instantly shotted their heads that way. Huge, dark silhouette, standing above an unconscious body, was staring into their souls. "Who's next, assholes?" Like thunderstorm, his deep raspy voice echoed through the whole dark alley. Letting go of KyoHaba, the man smirked towards him. "You think you can beat the 3 of us all alone? Bring it then." Stepping from the shadows, his blank honey-brown eyes, lightened by a ray of moonlight, were filled with anger. When he witnessed the last part of this harassment, as his body was wandering between dark city streets, he wanted to kill these dickheads right away. KyoHaba, not moving from his place, was staring into these scary-looking eyes. Something in them was catching his attention. But he didn't know what. Kyotani, seeing his opponents rolling up their sleeves, cracked his knuckles, getting ready to fight. With too much self-confidence, these 3 men surrounded Kyotani and were going for the first hit. Kyotani attacked utterly cold-heartedly. His first kick badly damaged the one's stomach, as he dodged the other's punch. Suddenly, metal stick appeared in iota before Kyotani's face. He managed to avoid big injury, but still, stream of hot blood traced down his cheek from slight bruise. Trying to make his enemies uncomfortable, he licked the droplet of this metal liquid as he was simultaneously creepily staring at them. Irritated more than before, the remaining 2 of them, armed with metal sticks, charged to another attack. It was hard for Kyotani to dodge every attack and simultaneously fought back, at least until he got a weapon too. Whole fight suddenly changed into bloody war. KyoHaba, holding his breath, silently watched the fight, as both men fell on the floor. Pale moonlight traced only Kyotani's contours as he stood above these unconscious bodies. In KyoHaba's eyes, he looked like mighty warrior. Kyotani on the other hand, breathing heavily, was contemplating why this man didn't run away when he had the chance. Even so, he was certain that he would run away now. Kyotani started moving slowly towards KyoHaba. One step to another, he was gradually closing the distance between them, giving him a chance to run. But KyoHaba didn't move, even about a bit. He was looking directly at Kyotani, eyes filled with admiration and curiosity. Is he okay? Why isn't he running? What's wrong with him? He should be terrified. With these thoughts he stopped right before KyoHaba. Looking down at him with his cold stare, he unconsciously reached out for KyoHaba's hand. Covered with blood, sweaty from the fight and slightly bruised from past injuries. Despite all of that, KyoHaba still gladly accepted his hero's hand, which led Kyotani into utter shock. Nobody ever took his hand without any doubt or any disgust. Heck, nobody even wanted to do something with him. He pulled KyoHaba up to his feet and stayed staring into KyoHaba's soft glossy eyes, not knowing what to do next. He forgot long ago how to interact with people normally. In the meantime, KyoHaba was searching for the thing in Kyotani's eyes, which drew his attention. It was something so familiar, yet unidentifiable, probably hidden behind this cold and blank stare, locked somewhere deep inside. Locked. This single word was everything that KyoHaba needed to understand. It often says that eyes are doors to our soul. And behind those honey brown eyes lied broken soul, imprisoned by sadness and loneliness. It was like looking in the mirror. KyoHaba's mixed emotions started building up. He was happy that he found someone with similar feelings, but then again sad, because of the pain he must had gone through. He wanted to laugh and at the same time cry. He wanted to hug him and talk about everything, what was on his mind. Instead, tears started running down his pale skin, leaving wet traces. This was Kyotani's cue to leave. When he saw crying KyoHaba, he instantly dropped his hand and with slight panic started going away from him. Don't go. KyoHaba's strangled scream and trembling hand, gripping Kyotani's shirt, made him stop in his tracks right away. Please, don't go. Hearing his, now soft and desperate voice filled with sadness, something in Kyotani ached. Why does this cream puff keep trying to make me stay? I'm nothing more than a thug with bloody hands. I beat 4 men before his eyes. And yet, he isn't scared. Why? Why am I even caring? What's wrong with me? Why it hurts when I see him cry? With many questions in his head, Kyotani decided to speak up. Why? KyoHaba was barely able to hear it, how quiet it was. He looked up at him with worried expression. Kyotani, straightening himself, took long deep breath right before putting his thoughts into words. By now, you may have been gone somewhere safe. So, why didn't you run away? Why are you still here, trying to convince me to stay? Why aren't you afraid of me? With the last sentence, it almost sounded like shouting. The echo of his deep and raspy voice was fading into the empty darkness. This shocked KyoHaba a little bit, however he didn't back away. Instead of that, he reassuringly took Kyotani's hand again and with sad, but gentle smile calmly spoke to him. Why would I be afraid of you? The most terrifying monsters are laying here, unconscious. For me, there isn't safer place right now than the one with you by my side. You are my savior, so let me at least properly thank you and take care of your wounds. Silence, deep and heavy, filled the air. Kyotani wasn't the type to let people get under his skin at all. Heck, he was always avoiding all types of connections. He didn't need anyone. He was fine by himself. And then, out of the blue, this cream puff appeared with his calming and loving presence. It made Kyotani weak. He felt like he needed him. No, he wanted him. He wanted him and his warm touch, which soothed Kyotani's mind. He wanted to know how it feels to be important to someone, how it feels to be loved. Swallowing his pride and fears, he slightly squeezed KyoHaba's hand, which perked him up. Fine. You can take care of my injuries. But not here. Leading the way, Kyotani took both to safer space, leaving all worries and fears behind them.